Duke comes into McHale looking for revenge. What will they need to do to be able to get the revenge? And what will the Arizona Wildcats need to do to thwart that?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for giving it Locked On Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. This show is brought to you today by FanDuel. Very easy at FanDuel. Put down $5, and if you get and if you win, you get $150. Yes, new customers only. Check it out. Okay, now we've got Arizona. We got Arizona against Duke today, today, Friday. This is going to be a very, very fascinating game. Now, I think Duke personally is the best team in the country, or the most talented team in the country. I think Kansas is the best team. I think Duke is the most talented, and so there is that. Now, when I look at Duke, they're talented across the board. You can just see it, and everybody talks about Cooper Flag. We're going to talk about Cooper Flag and what you do with Cooper Flag, but there's some other players as well. Obviously, come on, Maluach, very very good. I mean, you watch him, 7'2", 250 pounds. He is the first matchup that we're going to talk about here for Arizona. When I look at Duke's roster and I look at players that I think are the best NBA prospects outside of Flag, obviously, Maluach is that dude. He's about like I said, 7'2", 250, but he's also generally, when you see guys like that, they're generally kind of, they're either all energy, like kind of hustle guys, like a Bismack Biyombo or somebody like that. But a lot of times they don't necessarily have the skill so far. This kid's got skill, and that's where it's going to be fascinating. He's going to be one of the few players that you've seen that can match up with Mo Crevis, from a size perspective. Now, he's obviously, I think he's probably fair to say he's better than Mo Crevis, but there is something there to it. He is, like I said, he is a very talented player, and he's somebody that wouldn't surprise me at all if he's always kind of on the fringe of NBA All-Star status, because again, he's active. He's got a little bit of a face-up game too, which is kind of surprising. You generally don't see that, but you can tell that he's been well schooled and he's got the world at his fingertips. I mean, he's that dude. He is incredibly talented, and so Arizona, that's going to be an interesting matchup for Mo Crevis, because Mo Crevis at 7'3", 265 pounds. He's a big boy as well, and he's still coming off an ankle injury, obviously. There is that, but going up and down the court, it's going to be fascinating to see how he does play. The one thing with Mo is that Mo does have a lot of natural basketball skill. And I think with Mo having a lot of natural basketball skill, that's a really, really good thing for him. But this is kind of a different animal. And again, I don't want to make Mula watch out like he is, like he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar already, but there's a lot to like about him. He only plays about 20 minutes per game. I think if you're Arizona with that matchup with Mo Crevis, I think you're basically just hoping that you're basically just kind of hoping that you're going to, if you can play that one. If you can play that one easy, then I think Arizona's in some pretty good shape. Now, when you get to the rest of this front court, I guess we'll get to Cooper Flag now. Cooper Flag, it has one of the most amazing stat lines of anybody that I've ever seen. Cooper Flag is leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. I've never seen that before, and I don't know that we'll ever see that again. And I think with when you watch him too, you can just see why he's an NBA prospect the way that he is. I think the big thing about him is that um, he is he just kind of does everything. And he hasn't really shown the 3-point shot yet, but he's going to show the 3-point shot. He's a good 3-point shooter. But the big thing with him, and from an Arizona perspective, is I'm not sure exactly who you are going to put on him. He is like I said, he's a matchup nightmare in that. And not only that, he's the player that he just kind of has a great feel for the game as well. Now, I think with watching him, the one thing that I think you probably can do is I think the best thing that I think you can do is get physical with him. Now, I think I think that if Trey Townsend gets that assignment early on, then that's what you got to do. You got to try to be physical. You got to try to be, up in him. And I think you saw against, Kentucky. And again, it's all relative, obviously. But he's also the guy he's also the player though that you look at and you're like, whoa, okay, that dude, he's a different animal entirely. And I think that it's going to have to be a committee approach. I'm not exactly sure who you can do, who you're going to put on him. I would imagine that it's going to be, like I said, Trey Townsend. But then after that, we'll see. I mean, the name that's thrown around a lot is KJ Lewis. And I love KJ. Obviously, I love KJ. I think KJ is fantastic. But I think there's also a little bit of you're just a little bit too small at some point. I mean, you look at last year with Deron Holmes. Deron Holmes, obviously very, very good for Dayton. But the thing with Deron Holmes, though, was that he couldn't really, is that KJ could get low, KJ could get physical, KJ could do all that stuff. But at the same time, he also wasn't the player that after a while it just kind of wears on you. It's like the player like in the NFL that if he's like super, super strong, but he weighs like 70 pounds less. After a while, that girth just starts to wear on you a little bit. And I think that's really the case where we're at with KJ. So again, I think it's going to be a committee approach. I would imagine Trey Townsend gets the first one. This is also a game that Trey Townsend is going to have to he's going to have to really step up. Now, Trey Townsend has shown in the past that he's a player that can, that he can against good teams, he steps up to the plate, and that's always been the case with him. And I think that if you're Arizona, you need him to be able to be that guy. If he can be that guy, then I think you start to feel like you're in pretty good shape. But this is going to be a difficult one for Arizona. Like I said, I think you're seeing a committee approach, but enjoy Flag while you can. Flag is the epitome of a player that how do I put this? If Flag's low case scenario in the NBA is still probably a fringe all-star. His best case is he's a first-team All-NBA player, but he's got that kind of potential. Not only does he have that kind of potential, he's the player that, he's been like this for a reason, and he reclassified for a reason. That's going to be a tough matchup for Arizona. So that front court is good. Now, again, the thing with Arizona's got, I think, going in the front court is you can get a little bit more. You're going to have some players that are going to come in to be able to throw bodies at him, and that's where I think it's going to be interesting for Arizona is you can bring a Tobe Awaka in, and Tobe Awaka is obviously a man of girth, a man of substance, a man of strength, and watching Awaka, you also know too that he is he's going to give it his all. How about that? I think that's the best way that we could put it. But there's a lot of tough matchups for Arizona in this game. That obviously is one of them. Cooper Flag, like I said, a lot of times, when a guy that comes in is the first pick in the draft, come in here. Enjoy him while you can because that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't know exactly how Arizona deals with him. But you know what? That's also why Tommy Lloyd is paid the money he is, and that's why he is the coach that he is. That's going to be a big part of what Arizona wants to do. Now, the perimeter is also very fascinating as well. We need to talk about the perimeter here in just a second because Duke's got some players on the perimeter that are obviously very good as well. And if you look at them, you also got to say to yourself, okay, this is a group of players that this is a group of players that's a problem. But first, before we get into any of that, all right, we got a new one in here, everybody. Mint Mobile. All right, check it out. Mint Mobile. Here's the deal. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There you'll see now. All 3 months plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All right, here's the deal with Mint Mobile. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Again, all kinds of good stuff here. It's very easy to switch over from your provider to Mint Mobile. And again, here's the great thing about Mint Mobile too. $45 payment upfront required, the equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3 months plan only. Speed slower above 40 GB on unlimited plan, but additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Again, the thing with Mint Mobile, too, is that if you're looking for a fast carrier, if you're looking for a high-speed carrier, Mint Mobile is here for you. And again, it's easy to transition over to. That's the thing that I think people need to understand. This is not difficult. This is not rocket science. You just switch over and you are going to be good. So again, check it out. Mint Mobile, again, sweeping the nation by storm. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the Duke perimeter, and then we're going to get into the Arizona aspects of this, but we're talking mainly Arizona's defense right now and where Arizona stands up with Duke. Now, you got Con Knipple. First of all, great name, great name, great name. Watching him, he's very good. What his level is in the NBA, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know that anybody is exactly sure what he is, but there's a lot to like about him. He understands the game. He's a decent shooter, and he's natural at putting the ball in the basket. And I think that's something that in this day and age, you got to be able to do. He can put the ball in the basket, and he is, like I said, he's fairly good at it. But with Arizona, I feel much better about Arizona's chances in this matchup. And again, it's all relative because these guys are all really good. In basketball, players can just go off and it happens, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. But watch it. I think this is a matchup that I think it's much better for KJ Lewis. I think KJ Lewis can get more physical with him, and KJ Lewis is a better athlete than he is. That's going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out. But he's an all-around player for sure. Not only is he an all-around player, he's somebody that, like I said, you could see him being a good NBA player. I'm not exactly sure how this one does play out for him at the next level, but he's clearly an NBA guy, and I guess we'll find out exactly where he is at. But he is he's a good player. He's a good player, and I think there's somebody that. You could see at the next level making a big impact. Con Knipple, though, really good guy. KJ Lewis, that's going to be KJ Lewis has talked about for the longest time about how he wants to be an NBA player, and I believe he is an NBA player. This is going to be that game. This is going to be some of those that highlight game for him to show folks that yes, I am an NBA player. Watch me, and again, you put it out there. Yeah, you should be able to get it. Now, then you got Caleb Foster. Caleb Foster to me is I don't want to say there's a weak link because they're all good. And watch, he'll go for like 6 3-pointers in this game. But Caleb Foster is the one dude that, in there that I look at and I'm like, all right, probably not next level NBA player. I don't necessarily see that one being the case. But again, he is very, very good. Again, I don't really worry about him. He is that is a matchup that Arizona needs to be able to win, and if Arizona can win that one, then obviously they need to. Caleb Love, he had a really tough game against Wisconsin, but in his career he's had big moments against Duke. We've seen it up close, and this is the kind of game where I think that, if you're Caleb Love, you're really looking to kind of exert yourself and show exactly what you can do here. And there's a lot that I think he can do. Watching this game, though, I think you also got to come to the conclusion, though, that this is a matchup that Caleb Love needs to win. Caleb Love was brought in here for big games. He was brought in here to really show what he can do. And from an Arizona perspective, you've got to be able to see that. I think with Caleb Love, there is a this is the kind of game where you know what, if they put him Caleb Foster on you, you got to be able to go after him, and if you go after him. I've always said this about Caleb. Caleb's got to get more free throws. I've felt that from day one. Caleb has to be able to get to the free throw line because he's athletic enough, he's smart enough, and not only is he athletic and smart enough, he's also the kind of guy that you can get the you can when you get to the hoop, you can he can finish. So that's what I need from him. I need a big matchup from him. And then you got Tyrese Proctor, obviously. Proctor's a fascinating one for me. Obviously, Arizona recruited him as well, but he's good. I don't think he's definitely not the NBA guy that I think a lot of folks were making him out to be. I don't think that that's ever going to be in the I don't think that's ever going to be in the equation for him, or maybe it is, but it's not like a starting role or anything. But he's solid. This is also a matchup though that I don't worry about exactly because I think that Jaden Bradley is more than equipped to be able to handle this one. Jaden Bradley again. I like Jaden Bradley because he stresses a defense, and not only does he stress a defense, he is the player that you watch him and you're like, all right, he's going to keep coming. Now, I think the one thing about him is that you got to be able to make his free throws. I don't necessarily care about the where he's at with the assist because in Tommy Lloyd's offense, I don't really worry about that one as much, but I do worry about his ability though. He's got to be able to make his shots. I think that he's going to be a 17 point per game guy, and I think that he's going to have to be able to do just that. Now, with him, the thing that I think you've also got to look at is that he's a player that like I said, he kind of wears you down after time. I think that he needs to set the tone. He needs to set the tone defensively as well, and that is a big part of this. Is that he needs to be able to get up in Tyrese Proctor, and he's got to be able to make a difference. And if you can make a difference, then that's kind of where it's at with him. But he's got to be able to. This is a huge game for him. Now, Duke's also got some players off the bench as well that are obviously good. They're talented dudes. Exactly, on Isaiah Evans, the big man that got out of Virginia is 6'11". You also got you got a big man transfer as well. I mean, they got a lot of talent. I mean, this is a talented squad for sure. And like I said, I think it's the most talented team in the country. Whether it's going to be the best team in the country, I don't know that. But I do think that it is the most. I do think it's the most talented team, and I think that's something that if you're Arizona, you've obviously got to take that one very, very seriously because it is a. You watch this team, and you're kind of like, all right, that's a problem. That's a team with a problem, or that's a team that's a problem. So we will find out where exactly Arizona does stand with this game. Now this is going to be something where I think Arizona's going to have an X factor in play. Arizona's going to have somebody that you don't necessarily see coming that hops in there and becomes a difference maker for the Cats. Arizona has to have that. And who could that be? Could that be a Carter Bryant? Could that be could that be a Henry? Could that be a Tobe Awaka? I don't know. But Arizona's got to get somebody that is a difference maker in that regard. And if they can get somebody that's a difference maker, that's going to be key. Now we're going to talk about what Arizona needs to do offensively. But first, Skylight frames. Again, people are coming left and right here. Check this out. All right, here's the deal with Skylight frame. Get 20% off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. We got the perfect gift for you. Skylight frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. It's super, super easy. It's so easy to choose. Setup takes less than 60 seconds. Invite friends and family to share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription required. Let's see. And it only takes a tap on your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest. Now, again, check this one out. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's skylightframe.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.college. And also, FanDuel, check it out. Here's the deal with FanDuel right now. You can put down $5 on FanDuel, and you can get $150 if you're a new customer placing your first wager, if that hits. Let's think about that for a second. How cool is that? You put down $5, you can get $150. And again, this is the time where it's at. You got college football, you've got college basketball, you got the NBA, you've got the NFL. You got everything that you need. Check it out with FanDuel. Like I said, FanDuel.com. Another one of these ones. You're going to thank me later on FanDuel. But like I said, put down the $5. Get 150 in free plays. Check it out. America's #1 sports book, as you know, official partner of the NFL. So check it out. FanDuel. Again, gonna thank me later. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what Arizona needs to do in this game. Arizona's going to have to score the basketball, and I don't really worry about them scoring, but there's going to have to be somebody. Somebody's going to have to be a load for, is it going to be Trey Townsend? Is it going to be Caleb Love? Is it going to be Jaden Bradley? Heck, off the bench, is this going to be a game where, Tobe Awaka gets a bunch of rebounds and points? That's all going to be fascinating. We're going to find that one out, and I think we're going to find that one out in a hurry. Now, watching this team, though, I think you also know that they should be very motivated because that game against Wisconsin, that was a disaster. Now, Arizona deserved to lose that game, obviously. We've gone into that. Arizona deserved to lose that game, but I've never seen officiating like that. 22-1, that was absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Arizona's got to be able to do better than that. So there's going to be that. Now, when it comes to Arizona as well against Duke, the other thing is Carter Bryant. I believe you've got to fast track. Carter Bryant. I think that he's got to be the player that you get going now, and you get him up to speed. Like I said, I like ADO, what he can bring from an offensive perspective. My problem with ADO, though, is going to be on the defensive aspect. ADO defensively, not good, and that was really, really tough to watch. Against Wisconsin, they went right at him, and I think they're going to continue to go right at him. That's going to be a little bit of a problem for Arizona, but that's neither here nor there. I don't necessarily see him playing a lot, so we'll see how that plays out. Now, when it comes to the rest of this squad, like I said, I got a feeling on Awaka in this game. Now, because again, you need his physicality, and I think he's going to be very good. The thing about Awaka is, worst case scenario, he's going to get a lot of rebounds, and he's going to put a lot of points up there. We think, like I said, if he finishes around the hoop, you're going to get a lot of points. But Krivas also, you got to take that step forward. He missed some time, obviously, but watching him, I think like I said, he's shown that he's got moves, he's got counters. He's just got to continue to show it. And there's going to be a time because, like I said, he's showing up on NBA draft charts for a reason. But Arizona's height in this game has to be good. And they've got to be good across the board. Now, because it's going to be a tough game, like I said. I think Duke's the most talented team in the country. You got to take that for what it's worth. As far as a prediction, I'm going to back the A on this one. I'm going Arizona 82, Duke 80. This would be a massive win for the Wildcats. Duke's obviously looking for revenge in this game as Arizona went into Cameron last year and beat them. But it's going to be fascinating because, again, there's a lot of tough matchups in this game for Arizona. But you could say that for a lot of teams. Duke's got a lot of tough matchups for a lot of different teams. It's not just Arizona, but this is the kind of a game that you need to figure out a way to win. You're in McHale, so you got to be able to figure that one out. And I think if you can figure that one out, then you're going to be in really good shape. But on that note, though, we're going to be talking Arizona TCU tomorrow, and not only Arizona TCU tomorrow, what the meaning of that game is, because there's a big, like I said, there's a big meaning to that game, and I think we're going to find that one out. Arizona's got to be competitive in that game, in my opinion, even though TCU is a massive favorite. But on that note, though, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A, and we will be back with you tomorrow.